Hi everyone, it's Denise again with another technique that we've done in classes and we will continue to use because it is a class favorite so far. So welcome to our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please be sure that you hit subscribe and click that little bell so that you get updates every time we post a video. And if you like this video or it's helpful to you, or if this is a technique that's new to you, go ahead and try and click that like button if it works for you. So what you're going to need today, now I'm going to walk you through the steps. I'm not actually going to finish this with you because it requires a heat gun. So you're going to have to grab your heat gun. You'll need, I used a Distress Oxide ink. I assume you can use any water reactive ink, a regular Distress, a Simon Hurley, any kind of water distress ink, water reactive, ink should do. You'll need a mister with plenty of water. I said your heat gun, and you're going to need glossy photo paper. That's what we use, glossy photo paper. Can you use other things? Probably. Is this the cheapest thing to use? No, but it's not the most expensive one either. So this is what we're going to use. You also need some micro distress glaze, or distress micro glaze, I guess it is, and a blending tool, like, you know, the tools with the handles. I wouldn't use a blending brush for this. I'm a huge fan of blending brushes, but not for this. And you can either use a flat or a dome. In this case, I would probably use a flat if I had the option, but a dome tip, foam, will work just fine. A finger dauber will probably do the trick, but it will take you forever. You're also going to need a paper towel. All right, you may need several for cleanup, but you'll need a paper towel. Now, as I go through this, don't forget it's a video, so you can watch it the whole way through and then go back and pause it and rewind as you need to as you try this technique. And don't forget that we want to see your creations. That's the whole point of sharing, right? So be sure that if you do this, that you post it on our Facebook page, Scrapbooking Stuff Group. Post a photo of it so that we can see what you did and what colors you chose. This is our end result. Now, I'll tell you that I came across this by accident. It may be something that everybody else knows, but I didn't know. And I forget the name of the technique. I'm not even sure if I honestly know the name of the technique. I just kind of see things and I try them as I have time, which is not often. But when I do, I don't tend to get bogged down in the detail of what it's called because I'd rather try to just do it. I'm trying to get it so you can see it. Okay, you see this little spot right there? It's silvery on my paper. And this right here is the same. I apologize for the glare. It's the glossy. And also the shadow is no natural light in the basement when I'm filming this, so it's just kind of the way it is. Those seem to happen when the ink gets dry on my mat. So it goes dry on the paper, and then when I heat gun it, it kind of turns this silvery thing. So I'm sure that it's something that you're not supposed to do, but I gotta tell you, I really kind of like the silvery vein through it. And it always seems to be silver. It never seems to be gold. So I would get, because you're going to use your ink and water, so I'm going to use Distress Oxide Picked Raspberry. I'm not sure which side is right side up or upside down. I'm gonna use Picked Raspberry because I think that's what I used for this, just so that you can see what it is and how it works. Every time you do this, like, we're gonna put a layer down and then you're going to heat set it. I'm not going to here because I have cats and hot and heat guns don't mix well. So you're going to heat set in between every layer. If you don't, you won't get this kind of look. You'll just get one big kind of mud puddle. So in order to get those different variations, you're going to have to heat set. Now remember, it's glossy paper. You don't want to heat set real close and it'd be like that because it will bubble your paper. It'll actually like burn up the paper a little bit. Ask me how I know. So you want to stay away from it, but you'll definitely want to dry it, all of it. I would say, like everything else that you ink or you color, do it a little bit larger than what you're doing. If you want to cover a 5x7 card as a background, then maybe do a 6x8, 5.5 by 7.5 if you're conserving paper. You don't need this whole sheet of paper. This is just one that I did because I had the time to do it, and I had a place where my cats weren't with a heat gun. So I just did a whole bunch of them, and not that I've used them yet, my figures. So you're going to heat set in between. And when you like it, when you like what it looks like, that's when you stop. I would not at this point recommend doing it with more than one color, only because I don't really know how it'll turn out. I haven't done it with more than one color. I'm sure it would be fine. We do it with more than one color on regular paper all the time, and this is what it looks like on regular paper. There's another video about that. This is just going to use some microglaze and some different paper. So could you? I'm sure you can. I just didn't get that adventurous. So let's just start with this. Now you're going to need some kind of mat for your ink, that's non-porous. So it can be a glass mat. It can be the cover to an old Cricut mat that you still have, but the mat's long gone, that cellophane kind of to it. We've used plastic wrap, saran wrap, not cling wrap because it's got that adhesive-y kind of thing to it. I guess you could do it if you put the adhesive side face down, but saran wrap we've used, acetate or overheads. If you're an older teacher like me, overheads will work. This is a $1.25 store tablecloth, and this is just a piece of it. It's doubled up because I already used the other side for another video, but all I had to do was wipe it down really good with some water and it'll be good to go next time. But I wanted a nice dry surface to get right into the next video, so I just flipped it over. And I can wipe it down again. Now you will see something underneath, but that's actually the mat that I used. But if you look at the purple, there's no ink on it. So you can actually use it over and over again. And it's nice and cheap if you don't have a glass mat or an overhead or acetate or anything else like that. And it's cheaper than saran wrap, right? Okay, so an ink. Lots of water. I use the Ranger bottle because I think it's easier to use. And again, any of these supplies I think you can probably get at LI Craft Stop. Probably not the paper, but that's something that people usually have in their house or comes when you buy ink. So if you're like me and used to, just give it away, well, save it now because now you can use it. You'll also, again, need this distress microglaze, and you will need an applicator with a foam top edge tip on it. Sorry, I'm not getting the word in my head. So that's it. That's all. And your heat gun. Right? So have your heat gun ready. So here's what you're going to do. So simple. Watch this. Take your distress ink. Now, when you put it down, okay, I just popped it. So you see how I'm not touching it, right? When you turn it, you're going to turn, like we did the smoosh technique before. The smoosh, I guess it's like a smoosh technique. The smoosh technique is the one we did with the multicolor that I showed you here. This is kind of like a smoosh technique, just a little bit different, paper. So you're not going to press, like you don't want pressure and turning. You just want to put it down. So see, I'm not holding it, right? And just turn it and see, you get ink. And just do it. I mean, you want to leave some white space because otherwise you just be, inking your whole paper. So you want to leave some space, but you do want to do it over some space. And I know that some of this is off camera, but that's okay because you're going to get the general idea. Now, you should work sort of quickly, but you'll see that I don't. And that's okay because I can just add more water to it. I should have chosen something not pink that would show up better for you on purple. Okay, so now I'm going to take my water. Now, I just took a piece of glossy paper. I didn't get a whole sheet like I did before. So this is my piece, I think you can probably see, of glossy photo paper. And this is just like Staples brand, right? So I'm going to spray it. I'm going to spray it enough that I can see. You see how this isn't sprayed yet? But you see how you can see this one or this one? Watch this here. You see how it's dark? You can't see it? Now you see how it showed up? You're going to see little droplets come up. And when you see the droplets, that's when you know that you're good. Now, the more water you add, the more watercolory or lighter it's going to be, but that's okay because you can add more color as you go. You're going to take your paper, put it glossy side down. I always bend it, stick it in the middle, and then pop it down, and then I rub. And I'm going to carefully lift it, and this is what I have. Now, if I'm you, I'm going to my heat gun, and I'm drying this completely. And now I'm not going to do that till mine's going to look muddy. Now you'll see it's curling, right? It's all right. This one curled a little bit at the edges, but we're probably not using the whole thing, and you can always flatten it. So after it's completely dry, You may have to mist a little bit again, depending on how long it took you. Just put it somewhere else in a different direction. It doesn't matter if it gets on the back. You see mine's getting everywhere. And now I like this, so I'm gonna hold it this way because I wanna see that drip. So now I have this. Now mine's gonna muddy up and not be as distinct as this because I'm not drying it in between. So then you're gonna go and you're gonna dry again. And then you are going to continue this process. And you don't have to put down the whole thing. Notice I just put down this side and not this side because I really just want to color over here. And then you're gonna go, and if you like, let it drip. If you like that look, go to your heat gun, dry it on up. If you think you have enough water, or like I feel like I need a darker spot here, then don't add too much water and see it's darker. Now on mine it won't be because I'm not drying in between. On yours, it will be very noticeable. I'm gonna put this over here, just face down. So you see this box here, it almost looks like the shape of the pad, right? And that's because I didn't put a lot of water on it. Same thing over here, it got less water. But overall, I like the way that it ended up looking. So I'll take this off and I have this, right? So then you're going to go and you're going to dry it. Now, once you like it, I'm going to assume we like that. So once you like that, I'm gonna grab my paper towels. You can easily clean this off. I'm gonna get the excess water off. And then I'm just gonna spray this. Spray it all down. Now, of course, my paper isn't gonna be here. I'm gonna spray all this down. Clean paper towel. Just gonna wipe. So if you wanted to do it again on this same, like in this case, purple, yeah, go ahead. Wait till it dries, so like fluff it out a little bit. Give it a couple minutes to dry. You don't want to put your water reactive ink pad on the wet or even damp purple, whatever you're using for the purple. It'll ruin your pad, right? So when it's dry, you're going to take your microglaze. You're gonna open it on up. I don't have an open one here. You don't, you wanna open it on up. Now you can pat like this also, I should say, in between your layers if you want to. Now notice when I patted like it did, see, even without drying in between, it looks pretty good, right? So when it's completely dry, so if you wanna pat between layers, go ahead. If you don't, that's okay. You're going to take your blending tool, your applicator. It is actually gonna fit in here, whether it's the mini one or even the bigger ones do. You're not gonna press, you're just gonna pop that so that it sits in, and you're gonna twirl it a couple of times. You don't wanna press. A little of this goes a long way. Then you're going to take your tool and start in one area, and you're going to circle. And so it's kind of like you're buffing, sort of. And what you'll notice, I want to try to see if you can see this even with this glare. I'm going to try to pull this down. You should be able to see that mine is much shinier. Where is mine? There we go. Nah, it doesn't look like it there. This is much shiny though. It's got a finish on it that this one does. This one, you see how vibrant that purple is right there? That's what this one will turn into once you put the microglaze on it. It actually, it doesn't change the color, it enhances the color. Plus, it seals it, which you will need if you're gonna put this, say, on a scrapbook page or in a card or anything else. So the difference in person, you will notice right away, and you'll see what parts you missed, because some will look vibrant and some won't. Now, the other thing that you have to do when you're done with your whole thing, do the whole thing with the microglaze. And again, a little goes a long way. I didn't want to open this because I have one open somewhere. And the one that I have open, I've had for about 8 months, and I've used it a lot, and I haven't used a third of the jar yet. So that's how little, and I always do like big papers. So that's how little you're really going to use. Just remember, circle, just sort of like you're buffering, and just keep going. And then when it looks like it's, wearing out, just don't press, just pop it in and twist a couple of times. You may have more on the edges, so don't forget to do that. When you are done with it, take a paper towel and buffer in circles the whole thing. Now, yes, some of the color may come off a little bit. That's perfectly normal. But buffering is going to take that waxy sort of greasy-ish, waxy-ish feel off it and leave you with a nice slick surface that is now protected. So try this with any of your inks. Try it with multiple inks if you want. Be sure that when you do, though, that you post it for us, because we'd love to see what you did with this technique. We always love to get ideas, and we love for you to show off what you've learned. So again, be sure that you subscribe to the channel. Click the bell so that you get more ideas in the future. If you try this, or this technique was new to you, or this was helpful, go ahead and click like on there. And any questions that you have, pop them on over in the Facebook group, Scrapbooking Stuff group. And again, if you need any of these supplies outside of the paper, I would imagine, go ahead and contact Christina at licraftstop.com and throw them into your cart. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.